I own a dealership. I pay for both Vehicle Trace and Quick Report. And when I need to lowball your trade by $4,000, I pull whichever report makes your car look worse. You have been negotiating against two different versions of reality, and you never knew which one I was using. DriveWise switched, Automarket.com switched, Vehicle Exchange switched, Market Autos switched. Every major platform where you search for used vehicles just replaced the history report provider. The provider changed. The data changed. Nobody sent you a memo. The platform engineer made a decision. You were not consulted. Your access to vehicle history just became a line item in someone else's margin calculation. Let me show you the numbers. I own a small dealership. I pay for both systems. Vehicle Trace charges me $833 per month. Quick Report charges me $179 per month. One costs almost 5 times more. Scale that to Automarket.com with hundreds of thousands of listings. That cost difference is 6 figures monthly, 7 figures annually. The platforms made a choice. They chose the one that costs less. But here is what they did not tell you. That 7-figure savings did not go to better data. It went straight to executive bonuses while you negotiate with inferior information. You were the cost, but wait, it gets worse. Listen closely to what comes next. Vehicle Trace stopped being just a reporting service. They became a competitor. Vehicle Trace now lists vehicles for sale directly. You can search inventory, get offers, complete transactions. That puts them in direct competition with every platform that used to partner with them. If you run a marketplace, you do not promote your competitor on every listing. The platform engineer realized Vehicle Trace was stealing traffic, stealing leads, stealing sales. So the platforms asked a question. Why are we paying more to promote someone who competes with us? Switch to Quick Report. Cut the cost, eliminate the competitor threat. But here is what makes this sinister. The platforms did not tell dealers about the switch until 2 weeks before launch. They flipped the database one morning and waited to see if anyone noticed. Most did not. You did not. And that was the point. Now, think about what you said last time you bought a car. You were trained to ask for the vehicle trace. Show me the vehicle trace. That phrase entered the cultural vocabulary. It became shorthand for transparency. That training just became obsolete. The platforms moved on. You still say, show me the vehicle trace. The platform shows you Quick Report. You do not notice the difference. The decision to switch was made without any consideration for data accuracy or consumer protection. It was a cost decision. You are negotiating the biggest purchase after your home using a history report that was selected by accountants, not safety engineers. The monopoly just changed hands, and the vehicle you are looking at right now, you have no idea which system is feeding you data or what it is hiding. Same VIN, same accident, same damage. Vehicle Trace calls it minor. Quick Report calls it moderate with severity unknown. The dates do not match. The service records do not match. One of them is lying, or both of them are guessing. The forensic analyst pulls both reports. Same vehicle, different story. I am going to show you 3 vehicles, 3 real examples. First vehicle, 2015 Chevrolet Silverado. I had it on my lot for exactly 90 minutes before it sold. Vehicle Trace classified it as a commercial vehicle. Quick Report classified it as a personal vehicle. Same truck, different usage categories. That classification is worth hundreds in negotiation leverage. Both reports showed accidents. Vehicle Trace labeled them minor. Quick Report listed severity unknown. Unknown creates fear. Fear walks the customer away. Check the dates. Vehicle Trace shows the collision on April 26th, 2022. Quick Report shows May 17th, 2022, 3 weeks apart, same accident. Service records. Vehicle Trace displayed 20 maintenance entries. Quick Report displayed 0. Same vehicle. One report shows comprehensive maintenance, the other shows nothing. The Silverado sold in 90 minutes because the buyer pulled Vehicle Trace and saw minor accidents with full service history. If they pulled Quick Report first and saw unknown severity with 0 maintenance records, they walked. The data presentation changes, and the sale lives or ends based on which report loaded first. That was an easy example. Watch what happens when they both get it wrong. Second vehicle, Honda Civic at auction. Vehicle Trace reported 2 damage events, minor to moderate with multiple areas affected. Front end damage, rear quarter damage. Quick Report reported 0 accidents, clean history. According to Quick Report, this Civic has never been in a collision. Service records. Vehicle Trace showed 35 entries. Quick Report showed 2 records. Now the vehicle photos. Front bumper missing. Hood buckled. Rear driver side quarter panel crushed with rust showing. The rear bumper pulled away. Passenger side damage with paint transfer scraped to bare metal. Quick Report called this clean. Vehicle Trace called it damaged. The metal is bent, but one report missed it entirely, and someone paid for that mistake with real money. This is the part that should terrify you. That Civic sold at auction for $14,000. The buyer pulled the quick report, saw clean history, bought it. 30 days later, they tried to trade it in. The dealer pulled vehicle trace. Saw the damage? $9,000. The buyer lost $5,000 because they trusted the wrong report. Third vehicle, Toyota Avalon. Currently in my inventory. The customer called. I'm interested. I sent them the listing link. They called back 2 hours later. The deal is off. Reason given. Moderate accident on the history report. I do not inventory moderate accident vehicles. I have a policy. Minor, I will consider. Moderate and severe, I pass. Where did you see a moderate accident? They said DriveWise. DriveWise displays quick report now. I pulled vehicle trace. Minor accident. Same damage event. Same repair. Different classification. One word difference. Deal breaker. Service records. Quick report showed 17 entries at independent repair facilities. Vehicle trace showed 29 entries. Every single one at a Toyota dealership. Same car, different story. It cost me a sale. The customer believed quick report over my explanation. The report has credibility. I do not. The deal ended because two reporting systems classified the same damage differently. This is a reporting infrastructure problem. They are both pulling from voluntary sources. Body shops that report to one system but not the other. Insurance claims that route through different channels. State DMV filings that some states submit and some states ignore. Neither report sees everything. Both reports miss pieces. You are negotiating 5 figures based on fragments. You are walking away from good vehicles based on label differences. Incomplete voluntary reporting sold as comprehensive protection. Subscribe if you want the dealer backend systems they do not show you, the wholesale auction sheets, the actual transaction prices, the margin calculations. I pull these reports every single day. I see the discrepancies every single week, and I document every pattern they do not want you to notice. You just saw 3 examples, I have 300 more. Around 90% of incidents never get reported. No national requirement exists. The history report you trusted is missing 9 out of 10 events. You bought a vehicle 8 months ago. Clean vehicle trace, clean quick report. Last week, the engine overheated. You took it to a mechanic. They found evidence of previous collision repair, frame damage, subframe bent, radiator support compromised. The repair was done at a private shop 3 years ago. Cash transaction, no insurance filed. The history report showed nothing. And you are 3,000 into repairs on a vehicle you thought was clean? The data cartographer maps what you cannot see. And what you cannot see is almost everything. There's no federal law requiring accident reporting to private databases. States have different requirements. Even when reports get filed with the state, not all states share that data with vehicle trace or quick report. Insurance claims. When you file a claim, your insurance company may report it. May, not will. If the repair cost is below a certain threshold, many companies do not report at all. Body shops can report to vehicle trace or quick report. Can, not must. Small independent shops often cannot afford the subscription fees. So, if your car gets fixed at a local garage, that repair probably never makes it to the report. Your vehicle history depends on which shop you chose, which means you have been gambling this entire time without knowing the odds. Listen to what this means. The seller told you a clean history. The report confirmed it. But the accident that bent the frame happened at a private shop that does not report to anyone. The repair was cash. No insurance. No trail. The vehicle history report is just blind. Service records work the same way. Franchise dealerships report to manufacturer systems that feed into vehicle trace. Independent mechanics do not. If you get into an accident and both parties agree to handle it privately without insurance involvement and without a police report, that accident will never appear on any history report, ever. Let that sink in for a second. Here is the number that matters. 90% of incidents never get reported. That means for every 10 things that happen to a vehicle, you are seeing 1. Maybe you are making purchase decisions based on 10% visibility. And dealers exploit this blind spot every single day. But here is what makes this worse. Dealers know this. They weaponize it depending on which side of the transaction they are on. You bring your car in for a trade. They pull the history report. It shows an accident from 3 years ago. The dealer makes an offer. The offer is $4,000 less than you expected. They justify it with the report, diminished value, accident history. 2 weeks later, that same vehicle is on their lot. Certified, pre-owned, no accident disclosure in the listing. They use the report to justify a low offer on your trade. They ignored the report when selling at retail. They are negotiation tools. The party holding the tool decides when to use it and when to hide it. You think you are seeing complete history. You are seeing the fragments that somebody chose to file. The rest is missing. Minor, moderate, severe. 3 words. No legal definition, no industry standard, no measurement protocol. 3 words that determine whether your vehicle is worth $18,000 or $14,000. The classification authority assigns the severity. You accept the verdict. But the verdict is subjective. 2 vehicles collide, police arrive, the officer writes a report. Part of that report includes a damage assessment. The officer is not a collision repair expert. The officer looks at the visible damage and makes an estimate. Minor, moderate, severe. That estimate goes into the police report. The police report feeds into the insurance system. The insurance system feeds into the history report database. The label you see originated from a visual assessment by someone with no repair expertise standing at a crash scene. That opinion just became your vehicle's permanent record. Insurance adjusters add another layer. But adjusters work for insurance companies. Their job is to minimize payout. Their incentive is to classify damage in ways that contain costs. And here is the part nobody tells you. You cannot appeal a severity classification. You cannot correct it. Once that label enters the database, it is permanent. Your vehicle value is determined by whatever a police officer wrote at a crash scene 3 years ago, and that officer was not a collision expert. The label does not describe the actual damage. The label describes someone's opinion at a specific moment using undefined standards. Front bumper replacement can be classified as minor if the officer thought it looked superficial. Same repair can be classified as moderate if the adjuster wanted to justify a higher estimate. Your vehicle value changes by thousands based on which opinion made it into the database. You are standing in the dealership right now. You just pulled the report. Moderate, accident. Your heart drops. The word moderate is louder than anything else in the room. You ask the seller about the accident. They explain it was a bumper and fender replacement, no frame contact, clean repair. The total cost was $1,200, but the label says moderate. And the label has authority, the seller does not. You negotiate based on the label, you drop your offer by $3,000, the label cost the seller $3,000, the repair cost $1,000. The difference is fear tax, $2,000 in profit, $0 in actual damage difference. Now, flip the transaction. You are selling your vehicle, you disclose the accident, you show the repair invoice, buyer pulls the history report, seems moderate, walk away, the vehicle was perfect. The label ended the deal before they ever test drove it. This is the classification trap. The label is subjective, the label is permanent. Once the classification enters the database, it becomes fact in the eyes of every future buyer. Your actual damage is irrelevant. Listen closely to the psychology at work. Minor sounds acceptable, most buyers continue. Moderate sounds concerning, possible frame involvement, buyers start to disengage, many walk away entirely. Severe sounds terminal. Structural damage, buyers almost always walk. The United States does not require dollar amount disclosure on history reports. Canada does. If you pull a vehicle history report in Canada, you see the actual claim amount. $1,955 tells a very different story than $12,000. In the US, you get a word. You are guessing severity based on vocabulary chosen by someone at a crash scene. Vehicle Trace advertised nationally that accidents lower vehicle value. They created buyer fear even when the repair was insignificant. They built a business model on making you scared of labels that do not reflect actual risk. The classification authority does not measure damage. They assign labels that manipulate your perception. The label is a negotiation anchor. 3 words, no definitions, thousands of dollars in value impact. Comment below with the severity label you saw on your last vehicle purchase. Minor, moderate, severe, or clean. Then tell me if the dealer or seller had a different story about what actually happened. I am building a database of how often these classifications conflict with reality. You are the documentation. Your experience is the evidence they cannot bury. They make money when you are scared. Scared to buy the vehicle with the accident. Scared to sell the vehicle with the report. Every party in the chain profits. When you panic, the system economist calculates the profit. The fear economy runs on your anxiety. Vehicle Trace launched in the 1980s. The business model was simple. Consumers pay for reports. It failed. Consumers would not pay. So they changed their strategy. If consumers will not pay, make the dealers pay. Vehicle Trace stopped selling to consumers. They started selling to dealers. Dealers pay monthly fees, but the real innovation was the marketing campaign. Vehicle Trace advertised to consumers. The message was simple. Do not trust dealers. Dealers hide vehicle history. Protect yourself. Demand proof. Ask for the vehicle trace. The slogan launched in 2009, "Show me the vehicle trace." The genius was positioning. Vehicle trace made dealers look guilty until they provided the report. That forced dealers into a corner: buy the subscription or get blackballed. Vehicle trace won the mindshare before buyers understood what a vehicle history report actually measured. Vehicle trace built a monopoly by training buyers to distrust sellers unless they paid for vehicle trace access. Consumers demand the report, dealers pay for the report, everyone is scared. Vehicle trace gets paid. Then they broke the formula. And then they got greedy. They started listing vehicles, they started competing with dealers, the platforms realized they were funding their own competition, so they cut them off. They switched to Quick Report, and you are negotiating with the cheaper replacement thinking you still have premium protection. The platforms do not care which report you see, they care that you see a report. The presence of a history report button creates confidence. The psychological function is primary. You feel safer. You transact, the platform profits. That is why the platform switch works. Buyers still say, "Show me the vehicle trace." Platforms show them Quick Report. Buyers do not notice the difference. The platform saved money, the buyer got a report. Everyone wins except the buyer who thinks they got the same protection. Listen closely to the cost structure. I pay $833 monthly for vehicle trace. I pay $179 monthly for Quick Report. I have both. When I need to lowball a trade, I pull whichever report shows the worst history. When I need to sell a vehicle, I reference whichever report shows the cleaner history. I use them strategically. Every dealer does this. Most just will not admit it on camera. Scale that across the industry. Dealer with 50 units in inventory, 15,000 per year in subscriptions. Large dealer group with 1,000 vehicles, over 100,000 per year. That cost gets baked into vehicle pricing. You are paying for your own fear management. Platforms save 6 figures monthly, switching from vehicle trace to Quick Report, 7 figures annually. That money does not go to improving data accuracy. That money goes to the profit margin. You still see a history report button. They just replaced what is behind the button with a cheaper version. The fear economy is not about accurate information. It is about the appearance of protection. You see a history report and you feel like you did your research. That feeling is the product. Your fear drives you to demand the report. That cost gets passed to you through higher prices or lower trade values. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Neither report is gospel. Both are tools. Vehicle trace has a deeper service history. Quick Report costs less. Minor and moderate labels are opinions from crash scenes, not engineering assessments. Severe damage is different. Frame compromise, structural failure, that is walkaway territory. But minor and moderate deserve inspection, not panic. Used vehicles are never identical. Every used car stands alone. The history report gives you a starting point. It does not give you a verdict. The verdict requires inspection. Vehicle trace is not being canceled by consumers. The monopoly is breaking up. Platforms are choosing cost over depth. Dealers are weaponizing whichever report serves their goal. The advice has been the same for 15 years. Use both. Pull vehicle trace and Quick Report. Compare the data. Inspect the vehicle regardless. Get a pre-purchase inspection. Do not let a label make your decision. But understand, this is not a promotion. This is industry reality. The switch happened. The cost was the reason. Your safety was not the priority. Buyers who understand this shop smarter. They verify everything. They inspect before they commit. Buyers who do not understand this shop are scared. They walk away from good vehicles because of labels. They accept lowball trade offers because a dealer showed them an accident from 2 years ago. They think the report is protection. It is not. And the timeline just accelerated. And this is accelerating. Quick Report just announced partnerships with 3 more major platforms. Within 18 months, most vehicle listings will default to the cheaper report, the one with less depth, the one that missed the Honda Civic damage, the one that called your minor accident moderate. The reporting gap is widening. Every platform switch means more buyers negotiating with less information. The next vehicle you look at, the next trade you offer, the next history report you pull, you have no idea which system is feeding you data or what it is choosing not to show you. The report is not a shield. It is a negotiation document. Both parties use it to justify the number that benefits them. You are just the one who believes it is telling the whole story. The history report scares you away from good vehicles. And it costs you thousands in fear tax either way. Share this if it changed how you view vehicle history reports. Someone you know is about to walk away from a solid vehicle because the report said moderate. Or accept a lowball trade offer because the dealer pulled up the accident from 2 years ago. They think the report is protection. It is not. It is a theater, and you paid for the ticket with the difference between what the report showed and what your vehicle was actually worth. Thank you for watching.